Hey guys, and welcome back. Hopefully you had fun building your calendars. Again, I'm James Williams. Good to see you all again. So this next part of the PD is going to be everybody's favorite. This is probably why you're here in the first place, other than being required to take it. Is you're going to get a chance to actually do some planning. Okay, and so what we're going to look at, actually, the main focus of the rest of this PD is going to be lesson planning. And our hope is that by the end of this professional development, you have not only the calendar that you just developed, but you also have several lessons that you'll be able to apply your first 6 weeks, so that you'll hit the ground running when you're starting with this block scheduling, okay? So let's talk about some differences between block scheduling versus your 45-minute class period or your 50-minute class period. The first one that I love, honestly, is you really do have more time. There's less time wasted in transition. There's less time as far as you have half as many of kind of the bell ringers and the start of class. You have half as much time of the kids packing up and getting ready to leave, things like that. And so there's a much stronger, solid block of time, all right? And I really enjoy that. The trick, though, is you really need to make sure that you're breaking that time up and that you're not expecting the kids basically just to sit there for 90 minutes. If you're a direct teacher, which so be it. But just to warn you, the kids will not sit still for 90 minutes. Okay, their attention span is not that long. Okay, adults' attention span really isn't that long. That's why most of the videos I'm going to make for you are going to be between 2 to 10 minutes. Okay, because I really just don't want to bore you, basically. All right. So let's talk about some things that we're going to be looking for in the lesson plans. Basically, what you're going to do, you created your calendar. You're going to pick one of the days from your calendar, okay? My suggestion is going to be pick something from the first couple of weeks of the actual material. So not that first week where you have the social emotional learning, but the week after that, either the first or second week of actual material, as it were, for your course, okay? And so we're going to be writing a block lesson. So some things to keep in mind. Even though you're in block, good pedagogy is good pedagogy, all right? Your engages, your closures, your activities, your group learning, your cooperative learning, your inquiry-based learning, all the things that you've already been doing that makes you a great teacher aren't going to change for this, okay? So all those things we're going to want to see in your lesson plans. But some things to keep in mind. You want to make sure when you're writing a block lesson, you're going to write an engage. Now, here's what's interesting. Because for a lot of these block lessons, you're going to be covering two actual topics. You're going to have possibility of covering two topics. And so when you write the engage, you do not have to engage them for both topics at the same time. Your gauge or your bell ringer or your opening of your class can be the same as it was with the 45-minute class period. You don't have to change that. You can think about what's coming, and you can kind of be a little adventurous, and you could try to prep them for both of the topics, or making sure they're covered for the whole day, but you don't have to, okay? But just to make sure you do have that opening of your lesson, you're also going to want to have a closure. The closure, just like the opening, does not have to necessarily cover, if you have two topics a day, it doesn't have to cover both. You're out to take it out the door, or your closing remarks, or whatever, it can be referring to the last lesson that you did, or you could include both. And again, that's a choice, that's a preference, that's something you're going to get to decide. This is the huge one. This is the huge thing that's going to be different, that is majorly important for block scheduling, is you're going to want to chunk things. For those of you who've taught Springboard before, they have chunking instructions in the teacher editions, in a lot of books and a lot of lessons. Talk about the idea of chunking things. You're chunking information for the kids so that it's not too big. All right, it's the same as cutting up food for a baby. You're making sure they don't choke on it, okay? So you want to chunk the lesson, because if you leave the lesson as a 90-minute block, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to teach two-step equations today, and I'm just going to go for 90 minutes, and I'm going to talk all day long about PEMDAS and what to do with X and how do we divide and how do we multiply, and you do that for 90 minutes, you're going to lose the kids. So chunking is best. 20 minutes or less really is where the kids' attention spans are. And if you can keep that down, breaking up more the better, all right? And the big one to keep in mind, because it is on block scheduling, what we don't want to do is we don't want to take day one and stretch it, okay? Because day one is day one. Day one, your original lesson plan was 45, 50 minutes, and that was it. It wasn't day one takes 2 days. That's not what block lessons are, okay? So the magic is going to happen when you figure out how to combine your day one and your day two, all right? Now, I did create kind of a real rough estimate. This is just an example. You do not have to stick to this. This is just an idea. This is a 90-minute class period broken up into little sections, so you can see basically I had it starting with an engage. It's also where I would take my attendance, first 5 minutes. Then I would do 5 minutes of, let's say, going over homework from the prior class, or hey, does anybody have any questions from the stuff we covered last class, or remember we did circles, that kind of thing. And then I had about 10 minutes of teaching for this first topic. Doesn't matter what the topic is. Again, this is just an example, generic. But I would take 10 minutes to teach the topic, and then I give the kids about 10 minutes to work on it. And then 5 minutes, okay, how'd it go? Did number 3 make sense? That kind of thing. Maybe reteach some stuff. This is where I might have the kids peer teach, or explain it to your neighbor. You can go old school Kagan with Sage and Scribe, something like that. But just make sure everybody's on the same page. And then I'm moving into my second topic here. Okay, and again, this is generic. It could be whatever topic it is. I don't know. But this topic, maybe I felt like it had a part where the kids really need to kind of explore. Okay, so maybe this is one of the springboard ones where it has them, let's say fast food factory or something like that, where they're just going to explore and kind of see what the properties are. And then after 10 minutes of that, I'm going to go ahead and teach for 5 minutes. And really what I'm doing there is I'm concreting what they were just exploring. I'm making sure that there's no negative transfer. I'm making sure that what they learned in that exploration is correct. And so that's what that's for. And then maybe 20 minutes worth of work. This is about as long as I'll go. Every once in a while, depending on the lesson, depending on the age. If I have pre-cal or something, we might do a 30-minute chunk. But most things are 20 minutes or less because really the kids do get bored, okay? And they're going to be in there for so long that the more you break it up, it goes faster. You will feel like you're doing more because you are, but it will also go much faster. So you get to the end of the day and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe the day's over already, okay? Then I gave another 5 minutes to kind of go through, make sure they're doing okay with work. And you can be constantly monitoring during these 20 minutes. You might not need this 5 minutes. You might use it for something else. So you could be going around and checking everybody's work as you go. And then another 10 minutes to work. Maybe this would be kind of the homework. One thing that's really big about block scheduling is that you make sure that you kind of stay on track and you stay on task, okay? So let's say I have 2 topics to cover that day. What I cannot do, the number one mistake that I see people making with block scheduling is they start on topic 1. And let's say, I have, 30 minutes here that I'm spending on topic 1. Well, 30 minutes go by and the kids aren't getting it. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought we were going to get 27 questions done and we've only done 3. And the biggest mistake I see made is they stay here, okay? And I'm not saying an extra 5 minutes. I'm saying they just stay. And they're like, no, we were going to get our 27 minutes and so or 27 questions. So they spend the whole day on that and they get a whole day behind. You have to resist that urge, okay? The best thing I can suggest is when you get to this point when you're supposed to be moving on, say, okay, guys, I think most of you got the idea, okay? If you would, go ahead and turn to page such and such, and we're going to go ahead and look at this next topic, or however you want to do your transition, but go ahead and move on and tell them, hey, look, we're going to do, questions 4 through 27, either later in class, at lunch tutorials, or for homework, okay? And that way you go ahead and cover topic 2. Sometimes this topic here that you thought maybe was the harder topic might go a little faster, and so at the end of class they have time to go back. But what's important is that you still cover the same amount of material, okay? Keep in mind, your number one job is to make sure that they are exposed to what they're supposed to be exposed to, okay? Whether or not they pick it up the first time around, that there's some stretch there, okay? They can maybe do it for homework. They can go home and YouTube it, all right? I don't know about y'all, but I'm not the best maker of videos and the best teacher in the world. I'm really not. And so sometimes I'll tell the kids, hey, I've already explained it. In fact, I've explained it twice. And if it's still not clicking, why don't y'all talk to each other? Why don't y'all go look it up on YouTube, things like that. Now I'll have them do that outside of class, okay? Because I don't want them just kind of randomly surfing the internet while we're sitting in class, just as an FYI. But this is just an example. You don't have to stick to this. But what I would like you to do is go ahead and pick one of the days, okay, that includes 2 topics, and I'm going to want you to write a lesson plan for that. And what you're going to do is you're going to create the lesson plan. Now, I'm not giving you a template for the lesson plan because I know all the different schools use different rubrics and templates and formats and things like that, so I'm not giving you a format, okay, with the understanding that we are still going to want to see the product, okay? So I'm going to ask you to upload, whether it's PDF, a document, Excel, however you do it, whatever format you do. If you're old school like me, maybe you write it up on the board or maybe you handwrite it, then you can upload some images just so we can see that you've put in the work, okay? So we're going to give you some time to work. I know that you might take 3 hours or 10 hours to write a lesson plan. The goal for this particular professional development was a 3-hour PD. We're going to give you 30 minutes. I want to see what you can come up with in 30 minutes. Do the best you can. Take about 30 minutes. You're welcome to take longer than that, but that's the amount of credit you're going to get as far as the professional development, okay? And so good luck, happy writing, and we'll see you in a few.